I want to be taking a look at three different price scenarios that I have on my mind when it comes to Cosmos' native token called Atom in a situation where maybe, let's say, there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season during this cycle. But of course, this is not financial advice and this is not a guarantee, but this is just what I have on my mind. But even besides that, the first scenario that I do want to take a look at when it comes to Atom is $40 and maybe the idea of that. Now that's around a 9x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 18.6 billion, nearly 18.7 billion at that point. However, to me, why wouldn't this surprise me if maybe it did happen? It's because I like the fundamentals of Cosmos. Let me explain why. The Cosmos blockchain utilizes a proof-of-stake consensus algorithm called Tendermint. Now, Tendermint, by the way, allegedly makes it possible for Cosmos to process up to 10,000 transactions per second. So I think that's very impressive. Not to mention, Tendermint actually created a toolkit called the Cosmos SDK. And by the way, SDK stands for Software Development Kit. But even besides that, again, the Cosmos SDK allegedly makes it possible to build application-specific blockchains. Now, people may be thinking, like, who cares about that? However, I think that if we take a look at some of the Cosmos-based blockchains out there, I think it's pretty famous. Like, for instance, we see something like the BNB chain and also Chronos. They're very popular, right? So when I take a look at, again, I'm just naming two right there. However, again, over 50 Cosmos-based blockchains. Man, I find that very impressive, actually. And I don't think Cosmos is this kind of, project that's kind of useless, because some of my friends seem to think about it that way, but I don't. I think it's actually pretty useful in the grand scheme of things. But even besides that, if we take a look at the glue, so to speak, right, that kind of connects all of these Cosmos-based blockchains together, it's something called IBC. Now, IBC stands for Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol. And again, any blockchain out there that does have IBC enabled can easily transfer assets to and from any other blockchain that does have IBC enabled. So I find that pretty impressive to me. I think Cosmos is a very unique project, at least in my perspective, and I'm a big fan of it. And when I consider its utility, maybe its native token called Atom, hypothetically reaching the price of $40 during a fully fledged type of altcoin season, wouldn't surprise me. Now, when I take a look at the second price scenario, it's maybe the idea of $45 when it comes to Atom. It's around a 10x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 21 billion. To me, it doesn't seem like such a ridiculous market cap. I mean, we've seen like Shiba Inu pretty much double that market cap back in 2021, and again, that's years ago. I don't think it's something too ridiculous. Now, the third and final price scenario that I do want to take a look at is the idea of maybe $50. It's around an 11.3x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 23.3 billion. Now, why wouldn't this surprise me? It's because supposedly we have over 600 million crypto owners as of right now, which is allegedly more than ever before in history. And also, I take a look at the hype for the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, and again, I get it. If we take a look at altcoins generally speaking, even Bitcoin, right, having a pullback, but still, I just feel like if, let's say, the market conditions did become better, and let's say we did see, things kind of pick up, I feel like those factors would actually be pretty positive, hypothetically, but again, only time will tell. However, when I take a look at just the amount of crypto owners, like, again, over 600 million, back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, that was around 300 million. We basically have double right now. And imagine, right, we have this many crypto owners supposedly, and I don't think we've seen a fully fledged type of altcoin season during this cycle. And, Bitcoin has never reached like 150 grand, 200 or 250 or something like that, right? Ethereum has never reached like 10 grand. So to me, if that type of stuff hypothetically hasn't happened yet, and we still have this many crypto owners right now, what would it look like, again, that figure, if there was all those things going on? If there was like over 700 million at that point, it wouldn't surprise me, but this is just my mindset. However, for me, I do want to take a look back in history and just see how historically, typically, right, from what I've noticed, how usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, again, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. The last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of 2024, so if we add 18 months on top of that, that is October this year. But to me, that's just based off history. It doesn't mean it's going to happen this time around, but if, let's say, it ever even does happen, if it happens, maybe near the end of this year or sometime around Q1 of next year, whenever the timeline is, I just want to stay patient by just holding, dollar cost averaging, and that's it. Because Whenever Adam decides to do this or that, it's going to be beyond my control, and also, of course, along with the whole altcoin space overall, it's going to be beyond my control what's going to happen to that. But to me, I just want to stay patient and prepare for a moment in time in which it maybe does something, which is why I'm just waiting. And just, again, staying patient. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.